hosting us with the public protector. Most of us know the PDSA, isn't it? What we stand for, what we do. I will not say much about it. I'm just going to run the show. I'm just going to say it. And if I say north, fall. If I say west, you fall. Even if I sing it, I'll be the last one to decide. Okay, thank you. Now, we'll call upon Professor Jim Exton to give us an opening address. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hi, Bo. Good afternoon. Yes, I prefer response. I think I've said it before that I used to be a foundation-based teacher. And so chorusing back is what I like. Ma'am, Public Protector, the officials from your office, honored guests, our SRC President, and honored guests, if I don't know who you are, I'm going to say all protocol observed. Of course, a warm welcome to the public from Salt Lake Municipality, and a warm welcome to our students. It is recess, and to see you come out in the numbers that you have makes me proud to be the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Salt Lake University. My heart is warmed by the choir today. Hoi Toto. Please, you can do better than that. You indeed make me proud to be a part of this growing institution. I'm not going to say much. I wasn't told that I'm going to give an address, only to say welcome to our public protector, and also to say that it's indeed a privilege that such a young institution can host somebody of this caliber. Importantly, and especially because she's female, she's powerful, and she has a very important responsibility to keep us accountable in this country. And so we honor you, and we thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing Salt Lake University. I've had the privilege of working in a number of institutions and have never had a public protector come and visit us. And so we are thrilled that you have taken the time to come and teach us, to come and honor us, and to come and listen to us. We are new, we are growing, we have growing pains. And some of those growing pains you might have already heard about. I'm sure you know, and my Vice Chancellor must have told you, that 58% of our student population is women. That is pretty good for a higher education institution. Our demographics speak for themselves. We have a high population of creative, innovative, and powerful young women and men who are going to usher us into the new dispensation. I'm humbled by the talent that sits in this room. I see Miss Itumeleng, who has written 3 books already. I see a choir that is going to go somewhere. In our midst, and maybe not here today, we have a South African female cricket player. We have, she's also a hockey player. We have a tennis player of note. We have a basketball player, national basketball player on our campus. Our aerobics team, and I'm just giving you the nice things, because my Vice Chancellor already told you that that this group doesn't settle for mediocrity. Our students, 70% and over. No?
Yes.
Nothing less than 70% in their subjects. That's what we expect. Now, those of you who get 68, know that the bar is high, okay? We also have an aerobics team that won some at the inter-varsity program. They did exceptionally well. So, Madam Public Protector, I want to say this to you, that not only does this university take seriously its academic project, it also takes seriously the well-being of our students, their social and their psychological well-being. Obviously, that comes at a price. And that means that we together have to create an academic culture and an institutional culture that is inclusive, that is tolerant, that is accommodative, and that creates the space for everybody to grow. That is not the management's responsibility. That is the responsibility of all of us to call out and hold people accountable who are working against an inclusive university and an inclusive society. Hold yourself accountable and hold the people around you accountable. Because only then can we change our society. And so, madam, the floor is yours, and we hope that together we will build South Africa to what it needs to be, taking its rightful place in the world and showing the world how a democracy can actually work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Before we go to our next item, may the choir give us something nice. Serenade us. You know, I'm not a singer, so I love you. I'm going to do us justice. Just do those notes and those contracts. Alto, that thing you do, man. And the China, you blend that together. Now let's go to Sonali Jack.
But then how do people expect me to sing after such a great performance, after such a great speech given by a professor? It's going to be very hard, comrades. But then nonetheless, it's my responsibility, of course. And now, there was an address that I gave to the stakeholders who were here prior to the students being here. And I feel it would be then an injustice if I then do not give the very same address that I was giving to the stakeholders who were here. Because the issues that I was touching upon, they affect us directly as students. Now, the first citizen of this institution, Prof. Balim, he was here. No, he was here, man. He was here. And he said something which is, of course, a narrative that is promoted amongst national universities and also national government level. Now, this narrative is that Soulblight University and our sister university, which is Mpumalanga University, because the two institutions were formed post-1994, because the institutions were born in a democracy, then therefore the institutions do not have then the very same problems that your old apartheid universities would otherwise have. And for me, there is an incoherent, incomplete narrative. Because one, if you make the assumption that whatever then you create in democracy does not have the baggage of the past, you're merely saying that whatever you're creating an incubation. You're merely saying that Soulblight University is established in some island somewhere that does not exist within South Africa. Because the lecturers that are employed by Soulblight University, where do they come from? The employees that are running the administration of Soulblight University, where do they come from? They come from the very same white institutions that have promulgated and populated issues of racism, issues of marginalization across the centuries ever since they've been established. So the national narrative then to say that Soulblight University does not have racism, it does not have the issue of financials facing them, it's a completely wrong narrative. Because even within our lecture halls, and it's the example I was making when a public protector earlier that a racist will say that, give me a proof that I'm being racist towards you. If I'm calling you, or if I'm calling you the K word, which is calling you, give me the proof that I'm being racist towards you. Racists require receipts. They want you to prove a proof of residence that I'm being actually racist towards you. And that is a problem. Because that very same thing, it happens even within our lecture halls. In second year, for those who are doing 2015, for those who are in my class, in second year, in a class of pedagogy, we were analyzing the socio-economic issues that then affect students from marginalized backgrounds. And of course, when you speak of marginalized backgrounds, the image that comes into your head is either black students or your colored students, right? And then there was a cartoon that was depicted on this very same projector. The cartoon depicted black learners who were playing in a school ground. But then those black learners were not the color, okay, I can't make an example of myself. They were not melanated, they were not dark enough, or can I say they were not dark, the kind of dark that exists in amongst the very same people in the room. Those cartoons were this black, like they were this type of black. And then we said to the lecturer, but then, Prof. Sibani Bani, this is a problem because black people are not that black. By simply accepting that we are black, it does not mean that we actually are the color that is dark, that type of dark. And you know what she did? She just merely scrolled then to the next slide and said that students, I don't understand what you're talking about, I'm not being racist, I have white friends, so let's continue. I have black friends, so let's continue. I think it was in 2017. It was in 2017, I'm not sure, Mamini is here, the Kalakala is not here. So Mamini and the Kalakala and I are standing outside of the cafeteria. And then the Abu Mama from the kitchen, they come towards to say that we have a problem. What is the problem, Mama? No, apparently one of the lecturers, he has an office actually upstairs on the first floor. No, I'm going to say it, but no, I'm going to say it. This needs to be said. So this guy says to the Abba Mama, I don't want black food. Give me white food. I don't want black food. And the Mama was like, okay, but what is black food exactly? And then she said, no, I don't want chicken. I want beef. It was just a jump away from him saying that he wants watermelon, which is the type of food that black people eat. And then he goes on forward to say that, thank you, Sarafina. He says, thank you, Sarafina, and then he walks out of the residence. When we confront him, when the three of us confront my comrade, hey, what's going on? He says, no, I was playing, I wasn't being racist, I have black friends. He sees the same type of nonsense they always say. I was not being racist, I have black friends, please my mom, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing. So we took that issue front, me myself sitting in the IF and the Galaga sitting in the IF. We took that issue front. The issue because even the chairperson of IF themselves was saying that they don't see an incident of racism in this matter. They don't understand why we're pushing this so much. So then, my argument would then be justified to say that, firstly, this institution, it harbors the baggages of other universities. Prof likes always making this narrative that 80% of the students who study at Openbare University come from impoverished backgrounds, right? So, do you want to tell me that you want to say that you don't have baggage in this institution, but you're bringing about 80% of students from marginalized backgrounds? And those students, of course, were not born, or they did not choose poverty by themselves. They are poor because of the system of apartheid, right? These very same students, when they get here, then I'll make an example by myself. When I got here in first year, Excel was a distant language to me. Microsoft Excel was a completely different language to me. At least I could switch on a computer and type on Word. But when it comes to Microsoft Excel, there was a different nation towards me. And then you get other students who have never seen what a computer looks like. We laugh. We'll make a joke and laugh and say that my plus and whatnot. But the reality of the matter is that our entire learning is on e-learning. You have to type on Moodle, there's a new monster now called Turn It In. You have to submit and turn it in. And all of those components require you to be computer literate. So therefore, you cannot tell me that this institution does not have the baggages of the past. But funny enough, the very same students that were then marginalized who come from poor families, we are the best performing students in the country when it comes to our academics. Because I can tell you now, our averages for the June examinations were 88% per faculty. So despite
October 2016, this followed a thorough and transparent selection process carried out by a parliamentary multi-part ad hoc committee. During the selection process, all parties except one political party endorsed her candidacy. Advocate Mkwebane, as the title suggests, is a seasoned lawyer, bringing to her position of the public protector a wealth of experience, having worked in all areas of law in a professional career spanning 2 decades. At the time of her appointment to the position of the public protector in 2016, she was working under a state security agency as an analyst. She previously worked at the Department of Home Affairs, where she worked in different capacities at senior management level. Her roles included Director, Country Information and Cooperation Management, and Director Refuse Affairs. Prior to joining the Public Protector South Africa, she also served one of our sister Chapter 9 institutions, the South African Human Rights Commission, where she occupied the position of a senior researcher. She is currently the first Vice President of the African Ombudsman and Mediation Association since July 2018. She is also the board chairperson of the African Ombudsman Research Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the Public Protector of the Republic of South Africa.
Thank you so much. I've been called Comrade Public Protector. So I'll note that Zolan, President of the SRC, I think we need indeed young leaders and future leaders like yourselves and everybody amongst yourselves, lead in your spaces. You don't have to occupy a position, but then I think you need to lead, as the Vice DVC has indicated. Professor Buxton, when you were saying all of us should be leading in our spaces and contributing to make this country what we would want to live in. I'll acknowledge the SRC President, I'll acknowledge the CEO of the Pearl Protector South Africa, Mr. Mahlan, the staff who've organized, Mr. Kanya, the provincial rep of the Pearl Protector in Northern, and most important, the students. You are appreciated so much by the Pearl Protector South Africa. The choir, wow, you so singing brilliantly. I think you just laid the foundation for us. Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't have the law faculty. You don't have the, what do you call the other one where you do international law, international relations or political sciences. Yes, I love this university, and I would say to my daughter, if you had that, she would join you next year. But unfortunately, you can't take her. But you've got a very beautiful, and the environment here is so welcoming. And thank you so much for coming so that we can engage. Today we'll be partners, and we are going to plan and to engage on how we can take our country forward. So the Pearl Protector South Africa, we are a constitutional institution. I think I'll repeat that for the benefit of everyone, so that we are on the same page, so that we can understand our mandate. And when we are in the program of discussion, then we discuss at the level where we understand, all of us, what we are doing. The Pearl Protector is a Chapter 9 institution of the Constitution. We have been established in terms of Section 181 of the Constitution. We are here to strengthen constitutional democracy, and we are part of the team of the other Chapter 9 institutions, which is the Human Rights Commission, the IEC, Gender Commission, the Commission for Religious and Linguistics, and other Chapter 10 institutions like the Public Service Commission. You know that we, Pearl Protector, investigate maladministration in public affairs, and maladministration, which will include undue delay to process whatever service you expect from government, or abuse of power by public servants, or issues relating to abuse of state resources by the public servants. So the Pearl Protector is holding to account more than 1,000 state institutions, which will include 47 national departments, over 100 provincial departments, in excess of 250 municipalities, and all universities, colleges, and technicons, statutory bodies, and any other statutory structure. So that's how our mandate is so broad as a Pearl Protector. In addition to that, the legislative pieces which we have to make sure that we perform our functions under is the Pearl Protector Act, which provides for the investigation of this maladministration, as I've indicated. We also have powers in terms of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. And in this particular one, we investigate the maladministration, the corruption, but then we are not prosecuting that under the criminal law. What we do, then we pass it over to the necessary institutions like your NPA and like your Hawks, then to investigate issues of corruption, like your fraud and issues relating to money laundering and stuff like that. So we also have a mandate to, under the Protected Disclosure Act, where there are whistleblowers. For instance, you are a public servant, you then discover that there's corruption which is happening, And Jack, if you suspect that there is something which is happening, or as an employee of the university, that monies are not utilized properly, you've got evidence and proof to that particular aspect, we can protect you. You can lodge that complaint anonymously, and then we can deal with as a university, but as an institution. But if then the institution discovers that the person was a whistleblower and they want to dismiss, then that's where the public protector comes in. I think we've issued a report recently, I think last week, against the USASA, the institution which is responsible for communication, where the whistleblower was dismissed, and we issued a report indicating that he was penalized or persecuted because of his disclosure. The public protector also investigates the executive under the Executive Members Ethics Act. I think this is the power which is given solely to the public protector to investigate only the executive, not all politicians. The executive meaning your president, your deputy president, the ministers, deputy ministers, MECs, and the premiers. So this one, I think you've seen the report we've issued against Premier Zille. It relates to this particular finding. And anyone with a grievance against any organ of state can approach the public protector. As the Constitutional Court has indicated that my office is there to fight for members of the public in a David versus Goliath type of conflict, where David represents members of the public and Goliath being the state. Because the state, they have money, they can take you to court. As a member of the public, you don't have money to pay lawyers and attorneys, and they will be able to do that, and you want, as a member of the public, our services are free, hence we encourage members of the public to approach the public protector. We deal with a wide range of matters, cases relating to undue delay to process applications for RDP houses, ID documents, birth certificates, social grants, unemployment insurance funds, benefits, the compensation, workmen's compensation complaints. But again, I think with the university and for you, what is relevant is that issues relating to NSFAS, and that is the key responsibility of the Department of Higher Education, where if there are complaints relating to undue delay to make the payments and stuff like that, we are the institutions which you can use or complain, then we need to engage the Department of Higher Education. So in this province, our workload is around 255 complaints, out of the complaints which we've received nationally. But I must indicate that we are flooded with complaints. Last year we processed around 18,000 complaints, and I've been engaging with various institutions earlier, and all the provinces. I'm saying we cannot be doing the work of the public servants, because the public servants need to establish internal complaints mechanisms so that they can deal with the complaints when members of the public approaches them, and speedily. In this province, the complaints relate to the delays to pay pension payouts, wrong allocation of housing stands to beneficiaries by municipality, faulty water and electricity bill, delays in the processing of permits and ID documents, tender irregularities, irregular appointments of government officials, sewage blockages all over Kimberley area. So this engagement with you as students, as future leaders, is to make sure that how do we partner? You have your families, you have your friends, whom you need to be going out there as ambassadors and indicate to them, this is an institution which can help you, but you need to first understand what do we do, and empower that member of the public to complain to the municipality to be assisted, so that they don't take the law into their own hands, these violent protests, and even to students, because we are institutions which are supposed to be assisting you to resolve your complaints speedily. Therefore, if the public servants are doing their jobs, they don't send, or members of the public are not coming directly to us, we will then be able to investigate systemic or conduct systemic investigations or own initiative investigations where we see that there is a complaint or which is going around the media, is lodged with us or is not lodged, but the public protector have got that discretion to investigate that matter and issue a report speedily. Then it brings me to the question why we are here or engaging with you again, is that there is Vision 2023, which is it has 8 pillars, and the pillars include how we need to be accessible. In terms of the Constitution, it's obligatory for the public protector to be accessible, and as well, how do we become accessible, engage the community in their vernacular or languages, make sure that we expand our footprint where people can go and lodge complaints, but then since we don't have the resources, then we enter into MOUs with your Department of Justice, COCTA, and other structures to use their buildings so that when we send our officials to go and receive complaints there. So this applies to institutions of higher learning as well, because some institutions like the UNISA, for instance, they do have an ombudsman where students can lodge their complaints to the ombudsman, who can mediate between the students and the university. Therefore, that's what we also encourage in universities. And it doesn't mean you have to have an ombudsman. Possibly you can have an official who's dealing with issues of student relations, where then the engagement between the students on issues which have been raised by the SRC, and they are dealt with speedily. We've also discovered that a lot of these violent protests are caused by instances where complaints are lodged, they are not attended to on time, and then the protesters use violence to make sure that they are heard. So I want to stress the need that we use the available and peaceful avenues to resolve our differences, but making sure that we hold public servants accountable. Now and then, groups of service delivery protests, we've seen here 2 months ago, 75 schools were closed in this province, and the cause of that is because the demands of the people, or there's no speedy response of whatever the public requires. Therefore, the earlier meeting was calling upon not only government officials, but even the very same politicians to be responsive and respond and resolve issues speedily, because that impacts on service delivery. Therefore, for us to enjoy this democracy, we need to make sure that we have all the infrastructure intact, we have our students or our children going to school. I mean, if you close schools, then it's a challenge. It means we are no longer even valuing the very same education. So, Program Director, you've indicated earlier that we've got 3 offices, Kuruman, Uppington, and Kimberley, where complaints can be lodged, but we've got students. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, YouTube. We are also conducting our outreach clinics and going around the country. Make use of this, but always remember to exhaust internal remedies, meaning before you approach the public protector, just tell your families and everyone, make sure that the officials, those public servants, they do their work, and you use the public protector as an institution of last resort. As leaders of tomorrow, you are our eyes and ears, and in your neighborhood and communities, you are the light of the world. You are our ambassadors, as I've indicated. Let's join hands so that we can redress and have a public sector which is very responsive and putting the public first. Thank you.